everybody. My name is Renee Dugan, author of The Chaos Circus and upcoming novel Dark Wind, releasing in December 2019.
Hi guys, my name is Holly Ash. I am the author of Crystal and Flint, and the next book in that series will be out next month, July 16th. That's called Family Bind, so look for that one to come out soon.
And today, Holly and I are here to talk about finding an editor for your indie book. So there are really two ways to go about this. One is through finding a professional editor that you hire, which Holly will be discussing that aspect of the journey. The other way is a little more luck of the draw, if you will, and that is through social media connections, which I will be talking about later in this video. So Holly, take it away.
All right, so I hired a professional editor both for Crystal and Flint and for Family Binds. I just wanted to really get that outside professional look at my work after going through some rounds of beta reading and critique partnering with peers. So I hired what's called a copy editor. So they're looking at content, the actual words, doing more along the lines of a line edit to make sure that everything flows good, the language works good, and then looking for some grammar stuff. So I found both of my editors on a website called reedsy.com. And that's reedsy.com. And what I really liked about that, especially as I'm going through this the first time, is that Reedsy offers some buyer protection for authors. So if you find somebody there and you work through them and at the last minute they don't pull through or something happens, you have that protection to go out and recoup your money. Whereas if you find an editor online that you've never worked with before, you don't necessarily get that same kind of protection. So that was one of the ways that I really wanted to have that extra security when I was going for it. Now they do charge for that. It is a 10% commission that Reedsy will charge you on top of the price that your editor quotes you. But they also make it really super easy without even hiring through them just to search for editors, because they have huge marketplaces where you can search specifically for genre, style of editing, location even, of what language, what you're looking for, and they'll pull up these lists, and every editor on there will have a profile of what they do. It has basically a resume, some of the other books they've worked on, some of their career paths, and then the best part is they have reviews. So you can see people that have hired them before, they have stars, and you can read through, did they get it back early? Were they good at communicating? So that really helps to narrow it down. And then when you're working through Reedsy, you can choose 5 editors to send your first round of quotes to. And Reedsy has a standard form that you fill out of all the information that the editors are going to be looking for. So you're not going to have to guess, what do I need to tell these editors to get an accurate quote back on your pricing? So you fill that out, it goes out, and then they'll send it back, it comes in. One of the things that I really learned from hiring an editor for Crystal and Flint versus Family Binds is ask for review samples. I didn't do that the first time. And while I was happy with the final product of Crystal and Flint, I had some issues with the editor, and how her style wasn't the best fit for me. So when I went around it the second time, I had one of the editors come back automatically. He had done a sample edit of about 4 or 5 pages, and having a little more confidence in the process this time, I didn't have any problem going back to the other ones saying, hey, would you mind doing a sample edit on 3 or 4 pages, just so that you can get an idea of the style and do they fit with your work? Because you want an editor that's excited about your work and is really invested in your characters, and that's really going to make a difference on where, the final product is. And then I know one of the questions that always comes up with hiring a professional editor is cost. And I will say it is probably the biggest expense that I've put out for my book.
Wow.
My editors have cost me between $1,000 and $1,500 for an in-depth copy edit. And that's for about 80,000 words. So that's standard for a sci-fi novel. So your price is going to vary. I've had quotes come in at $3,000 and I've had quotes come in at $800. So it's really going to depend on your editor and their experience, but you do want to make sure that you have the budget for that. And then if you do go through Readsy, they will, all the payments are set up automatically on a scale throughout the work period, and they handle all the transactions for you.
That's a big relief.
Yes, because that's one of the things, you don't have any protection when you pick somebody off the internet.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I will say, after I find people and professionals I like to work with, like my cover designer, for example, I found him through Readsy. But after working with him, I'm now working direct with him off of that site to get rid of that cover or the fee for me. And they also, your designer, your editor also has to pay a fee. So now we're working direct, so it will reduce the cost a little bit. But I had to get that trust first, you know?
Yeah, having somebody who's kind of a mediator or a service that mediates while you're finding the right person, I think that's a really good kind of protection plan.
Right, absolutely. And then if you find their websites and they have reviews on there, you more than likely they put those reviews up themselves. Where on Readsy, you know that these are purchasers or clients they've worked with that are putting up those reviews. So you're getting a more honest look on who you're looking for.
That is really good advice. I've worked with some cover artists in the past that a lot of the reviews kind of didn't match up with my experience. So It's really nice to know that Readsy will kind of be that middle ground, and you know that what you're getting is genuine. It's not cherry picked from perhaps a larger audience that had a different experience.
Right. And I really think even if you're not going to hire through that site, you're going to want to go on, and it's a great tool just to search for these designers and stuff. And then more times than not, you can Google their name and find out their actual website.
Yep. So you kind of get the best of both worlds in a way.
Right. Exactly.
Cool. All right. Well, is there any other tips you want to give on hiring professional editors?
Just be ready, because your editor's not there to be your friend. So while you may get some positive comments and feedbacks when you're working with them, that's not a guarantee. The first editor that I got, it was strict, straight down to business with Crystal and Flint. There was no comment on the story or, wow, this was great or really exciting. And that hit me hard the first time I went through it. And like, did they even care? Why am I working with someone that didn't even care about my story? Now, I will say with the second editor that I hired for Family Vines, we had a lot of back and forth as she was working and in her comments throughout the text on positive feedback and things like that.
Wonderful. So it definitely sounds like you made out better with the second attempt than the first.
Yes.
Well, that's
you gotta find that right person.
Yeah, and it really, I think in this industry, and especially as indie authors, we don't have as many go-betweens in terms of agents or publication houses. So having that really good one-to-one relationship is really important in our version of the industry.
Exactly.
Well, I will say that for my part, I have worked with editors more that I have found through social media. So my experience has been more with people, a lot of times indie authors themselves who run editing services on the side. So the other way, if you don't necessarily want to go through a professional editor website and have to deal with the fees, is to work one-to-one with people that you find maybe on Twitter or Instagram. So the best way I found to find and connect with those people is really just being willing to search and get to know your community. There are a lot of professional, or I would say semi-professional, maybe people who don't work as editors or don't have as much maybe college or schooling experience in editing, but they have an innate sense for how that process works. Those people will usually put something about their services in their profiles on social media. So as you get to know people, you can find usually on their social media and then their author websites, they will list cost of service and whether they do developmental edits versus line edits versus content edits. So different editors on social media will usually be very clear to specify what services they do and do not offer. Now, as Holly said, when you're going through social media, there's not as much of a guarantee of somebody's reputability. So you have to be really careful to make sure that you ask for those samples and you make sure that these are people that you can work with. And then maybe just making sure that they have a portfolio of some kind. Making sure that you're not the only person that's ever worked with them, just to be sure that you're not getting scammed. There are a lot of really great editors out there, but there are also people who just kind of do it on the side to make a little bit of extra money and maybe don't have the level of skill and experience that you need to make your manuscript what you want it to be. So I would recommend getting in the conversation with them, asking for a test edit of a chapter or a couple pages, and then just making sure that you, again, budget for it. While a lot of the people that I have seen on social media and the editors that I've found through Instagram in particular, they have very affordable costs, maybe like 1/2 cent per word. But it's just good to make sure that even if it's a little less expensive, you still budget for it. Because for me, when I was looking at it for Darkwind, which is about $130K, I was still looking at $800 to $1,000. So it does still rack up the cost. So don't necessarily think that just because you're going with somebody that you find on social media versus going through Reedsy or another editorial website, you're not necessarily going to pay less. So if it means a lot to you to have that security and that mediator and having the payments all dealt with by a third party, might be worth your effort to still go through a professional editing service as opposed to looking on social media.
I have a question for you.
I am open for it.
So when you were looking to find your editors through social media and they were also indie authors, did you look at any of their books that they have published to kind of get a better feel for their style, or did that not really factor in?
I actually did. There were actually a couple that I declined simply because some of their content, I found that the way they edited their own content just didn't really match with what I was looking for. But I also try to bear in mind that they are also usually hiring editors or working with other indie author or published author editors that they found through social media. So I try to bear in mind that the editor style will affect their published work just like their editing style will affect mine. And so I think it does come back down to, you definitely want to make sure you find somebody that you jive with, just like if you're going to hire them through a professional editing service. But it is nice to be able to just kind of look and see if their writing style and therefore kind of the way that they approach the writing craft matches up with yours. So awesome. That was a great question. Thank you. So that's all I had. I do want to let everybody know that with Holly having a book out and with family binds coming up here in the future, I'm going to drop some links down in the comments section where you guys can find where to purchase Crystal and Flint, and also Holly's social media and writer website so you guys can follow her. She has a blog and posts a lot of really awesome stuff, not just about her books, but just helping people through the writing process. She has personally mentored me a lot in my journey through self-publishing. So she has a lot of really good advice. I want to make sure that I can connect you guys with her. Awesome. All right. Well, if you guys have any additional comments about editors or anything that you would like us to elaborate on, you can leave a comment in the comments section below, and I will keep an eye out and I'll forward any questions to Holly that you guys might have, or I'll try to answer them myself. As always, if you like what you see and you would like to see more on this channel, don't forget to like and subscribe and ring the bell so you get notified when new videos come out. All right, guys. Well, Holly, thank you so much for taking the time to do this video with me. And we will be seeing you guys. Hopefully we can do some more collaborations on industry-related items in the future.
Awesome.
All right, everybody. Have an awesome day. Bye-bye.
Bye.